Today on No Cap, we're joined by Winston Fisher, partner at Fisher Brothers, one of New York's most storied private real estate firms with more than a century of ownership, development, and management across the city's skyline. Winston oversees the firm's strategic direction and spearheads innovation initiatives, perhaps most notably as the co-creator of AREA15 in Las Vegas, an immersive entertainment and retail destination that's redefining the intersection of real estate, technology, and experience. We talk about how Winston blends a legacy platform with forward-looking ventures, his philosophy on what it takes to stay relevant in today's market, and the future of experiential spaces in both physical and digital worlds. Let's dive in.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Yes, we're just talking about you living between New York City and Las Vegas, which I don't think that's like a common. It's usually New York City and Florida.
Yeah, there's a lot of New York City and Florida these days.
Right.
Yeah, I'm New York City.
So that's
Vegas.
unique, and that's mostly because of your project AREA15.
Yes,
which we'll talk about. Yeah,
we will get
sure.
into.
Yes.
But your story is so much more interesting than just AREA15.
Thank you.
So
I think. By the way, I think a lot of the young guys listening. Girls and guys listening to this just got very jealous of the New York Vegas connection.
I even have a little LA in there, so it's actually
cool.
So I really go bi-coastal, but I'll tell you,
I don't really like Las Vegas. So you'll have, by the end of this, you'll
what a way to start
you'll convince me
because you
otherwise.
don't know Las Vegas.
That's what I'm saying.
It's actually true. Las Vegas is an amazing place.
Yeah, and I know there's so much more than just what the Strip has to offer.
And that's a great place too. But it's a dynamic community, very creative.
Yep.
It's really good people. I really like it out there.
Right.
Awesome.
All right. Well, we'll get into it. But
yeah, the way we usually like to kick it off is a little bit of an origin story. Okay. So, Fisher Brothers, very synonymous, especially with Midtown, New York, right? You guys are owners of 299 Park, 1345, where we just were for the Small Bay Summit.
That's right.
Which, by the way, spectacular.
Beautiful building. Great.
Spectacular job with the amenities.
We're on the same page
here.
Yeah,
we're synced up today.
Yeah. I was blown. I honestly, did I not say, wow, this is really nice.
Yeah, so we just went to a conference that was...
You were at ease in the amenity space?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of that. That was something that
really cool.
We spent a lot of time thinking about, like, how do we build world-class amenities, David Rockwell.
Because it's an older building.
It is, 1960s.
Yeah. Okay, but the
way...
very
green, because we didn't build a new building.
That's right.
By the way, we're greener than new buildings.
That's
because
actually 100% true. I know, I love that.
true.
And that's because when you
do construction is one of the worst 100%. Carbon emitters,
So when you think about what makes a green building, rehabbing it and fixing it up the way we did, we spent $120 million. We redid the entire plaza. Actually added, we figured out a way to do floor-to-ceiling glass. I mean, there's a lot of different things, a lot of green technology. But just doing that is significantly greener than a new building. Because if you actually count what it takes to build a building, you're never going to be greener than keeping an old building.
Yeah. And people forget, you got to take all that waste. You have to...
Oh, it's terrible.
You have to get rid of
don't
it
get me
somehow.
wrong, I love new buildings. But
sure.
If we're going to have a discussion on who's greener, we're greener.
100%.
So we actually made the decision to fix up the building. You went to our amenity space. I would argue it is, and that's intention, right? I think one of our secret sauces is that we spend a lot of time thinking about what we want to do, studying it. We didn't just, put our finger up, but that intention is important. But because of that, we also count being green. So when we think about this stuff, and partly is competition, but we're green because we're not just wasting and emitting all this carbon to build new. We're utilizing great bones and then fixing it up for the 21st century.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And to your point, it was very thoughtful.
Yeah, you guys did a great job.
From the town hall, kitchen areas, all the breakeut rooms, it felt like
What's
seamless.
the difference? You can't tell if you're new or old, right? Because it is brand new. I mean, at the end of the day,
100% it's brand new.
I mean, by the way, steel is steel. It doesn't really care if it's 30 years old or if it's brand new, right? So it's how do you program that space? What systems do you have in place? But I would like to see green scores start to reflect the true cost because they talk about
New York's got a little bit of an issue with that right now.
Yeah, I mean, but we deserve to be, if we're going to be in competition, be rated, it should be rated fairly, in my opinion.
Well, this is like, this is a whole nother topic that we could go into.
Most people don't talk about that, but look, I'm just telling you, we are very green owners because we're very present to the fact that like fixing up your building is a better outcome for the environment.
Mm-hmm. Well, and there's a mandate for buildings to meet in New York City certain green requirements by a certain date, right? Which is kind of screwing a lot of owners over.
Let's not go down this rabbit hole just yet.
That is a rabbit hole. I disagree also with creating green programs for ideological reasons that can't be met.
All right, we'll get out of it because this is like, I agree. I think we agree, and this is a whole conversation. Let's talk about Fisher Brothers and your background.
Yeah, tell us, what it was like coming up. I mean, you got arguably one of the best educations in real estate that you could get, right? This is like, what better way than to learn, firsthand?
And for those that don't know, I mean, you're impressive in your own right, Winston. But your family, you can look on Wikipedia this by the way. Your family is one of the New York quote unquote real estate families.
Yeah. I have what my grandfather and his two brothers created is really impressive. And and as the Rudins, the Durst, there was this crop of leadership that came around, early. They all came over around, that sort of very early 1900s, grew up dirt poor, and they all made something. There was the right time, right place in New York City, but these group of people, in this case, my grandfather and his brothers, it's hard to fathom what they were able to be bricklayers, to contractors.
Now, did they came first generation?
They were first generation. My grandfather was born here, but I think it was just by, maybe a year or something like that.
From?
Minsk, Belarus, Minsk area. They're all Ashkenazi Jews escaping.
This is late 1800s or
no, around. I think they're early 1900s, something like that. And grew up dirt poor, right? Brownsville. And
you guys are Brooklynites.
Yeah, Brooklynites. Right. They were in Brooklyn, and they really were these. They didn't become gangsters because that's actually what a lot of people became. Right? There was no friends and family. There was no Blackstone. Right? To do this stuff, it was a really tough environment, and they ended up building in the outer boroughs. They did residential. They were constantly having to figure out how to get things done. And then they also ultimately moved to Manhattan and were building, really impressive buildings. And they built a bunch of buildings on 6th Avenue, bunch of buildings on Park Avenue, because we built 400 Park as an example. Ultimately sold it. There's what building on 6th Avenue? Is it 1301? Or it's one of the buildings on another building.
Can I ask, from my understanding, some of the first so-called sort of modern syndications in this country were in New York City.
Yes.
Do you know how those were capitalized back in the day?
I don't exactly know. I think that there was. I'm not 100% sure, but you're talking about going into communities. You're talking about probably. Look, it was a different era. I don't know where the money came from, to be honest with you, but it wasn't easy.
But you grew up in the business. I
can remember working at Fisher Brothers as a messenger, right? And it was, running around, and I'd get in trouble because I would always stop at McDonald's when I was out doing a messenger, I was a laborer.
If you're managing debt in commercial real estate, it's worth checking out Lev. Lev's the AI platform for commercial real estate. Lev gives you one place to find lenders, launch deals, and keep track of responses without jumping between emails, spreadsheets, and CRMs. You can see everything that's happening with a deal across your team, all in one dashboard. Get the benefits of AI automation without the headache of building agents yourself. It's fast to set up and easy to use, and it's effective. Lev users are launching over $3 billion in deals every month, and they are loving the results. Visit lev.com to try it out. McDonald's isn't allowed? What the heck?
I was, it's like when you're like 12 years old, you're kind of screwing around on that. They're like, Winston, just deliver it. Yeah. No, I just grew up working at Fisher Brothers. I've always loved it. So,
what was your family's values like as you were coming up in the business? What do they emphasize? What do they want you to do?
Yeah, what were the expectations for you?
Well, so it's interesting. My father, they were tough people. You don't get to be what the Fishers were it was a tougher generation. I don't mean that negative, but I mean just the way they dealt with things. You had to be they were tough guys. Mm-hmm. And so they were raised that way. And like I can see it in my dad. It was very different. My dad was more of an intellectual, I'd say, but still there's a toughness that there. But at the same time, about being part of the fabric of New York, giving into the community. My dad was always like, you put the business first and everybody will do fine. If you start putting family first, everybody loses their money, right? Like you have to work hard. I mean, Larry Fisher, one of the founders, he was hard on family members. I mean, it was not. I think he was the hardest on family members in many ways. It's probably easier not to be a family member. There was an expectation of performance. There was no free lunch. I mean, they were tough. It's harder to treat people like that today. I don't mean good or bad. You just don't, right? Because we live in a modern society. But this was an age of they really did shape New York. When New York was like in trouble, it was the families of New York that came to the rescue, right? There, you have some of the financiers, but they were different than the real estate owners. I mean, real estate, it is sad that the families of New York, it's a different generation today, right? Like today you have pension funds, you have REITs, you have all these things. They're good people, but they're not invested in the fabric.
They're not in the community quite as much, right? And different. And I think your family was involved in rebuilding after 9/11 too.
Look, we've been involved in. We brought the Intrepid, my great Zach. I mean, that was really. I actually will say, when you think about the Far West Side, Zach was the first person to do something over there. Like he put the Intrepid.
The Intrepid is an aircraft carrier.
It was going to be scrapped. He saw this opportunity to celebrate the military. The West Side was a shithole. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's what it was.
And now the West Side is the shit.
It's amazing, but think about, what is it, in the 80s, putting a boat over there. Yeah. There was nothing.
Oh, is that right? People thought you were crazy.
Well, you're even further west.
It's the only place you can put a boat. But there's a pragmatic side to it, too. But it is the first thing that really went over there that was anchored in driving tourism and saying that this could be more than dock workers or something like that. And so maybe I'm missing something, but it's one of the catalysts, I think, that helped define the Far West Side and help change it. But to be fair, well, Barry Diller built Little Island, right? So there are civic engagements that do happen. But
by the way, that's also pretty recent.
That is pretty recent.
It's very recent.
That's amazing. I mean, that's
the West Side's always seemed to have. I don't want to say struggled, but it's taking there's more pockets on the West Side. Far more pockets that are taking a lot more time to transform than, let's say, parts of the East Side.
Yeah. I mean, I think, when you go lower Manhattan, it's a different area. But once the family, Fisher Brothers was about being part of the fabric of New York, right? So you work hard, you give back. Really, that's straightforward. I don't know what else.
That makes a ton of sense.
You weren't expected to go into the business because also not everybody's in the business. Yeah. I mean, that's the
okay. So when did you decide to go into the business? At what age were you?
I graduated. I did a quick stint with my family at a hotel company, but I ultimately moved over and was an analyst at Chase. I did aerospace and shipping. I did acquisition finance at a company called Heller Financial.
Sure.
So were you always somewhat analytical?
No, I was a philosophy major. Okay. But I was numbers proficient. And I mean, the truth is, when you go through an analyst training program, it's the best. If everybody could do an analyst training program, I'd highly recommend it. Look, you spend 3 months, you 40 hours a day, and you were learning accounting, corporate finance, economics, and you learn it. I mean, it's not that hard, just to be very honest. So you do it, and then you're working and you're churning out models, and it's an amazing experience. My father didn't believe that anybody should work in the business if they didn't work someplace else.
Yeah,
right.
I get that.
And so I personally think that's critical.
And did you that whole time kind of have your sights on the business? At that point, I
think I realized I was going to at some point transition in, and ultimately I did, when did I move over? It was like 99 or 2000, something like that.
So tell us when you made that transition, what was that like? And how did the transition from there to getting to where you are today is a whole story in itself.
There's a lot to that story. When I moved over, it was good because I came out of investment banking, so I wasn't starting. I had skills that I could contribute. I remember we made a run at Rock Center. That was pretty exciting. I did all the modeling for that. But ultimately, so I was able to come in at a sort of a mid-level and work closely with my father, my Uncle Tony, Steve and Kenny and everybody. But then there was, we had a series of tragedies. And so those tragedies also forced a certain level of, partly maturity, partly taking on more responsibility. But there was, 2003 was a tough year.
I was going to ask about this, and we don't want to be pry too much and and be too personal here. But I know you did have quite a few family tragedies hit all kind of at the same time.
Yeah,
while you're in the family business, which kind of made you have to.
Well, but I was thrust into a leadership position much quicker. Right.
So what do you think helped you get there mentally as you're going through all of that?
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm wired a certain way of perseverance and a recognition. Probably I'm not the smartest guy, so that you work with people, right? Like meaning, we had some really good people like Sam Rosenberg, Marty Edelman that were part of the firm.
Well, a tribute to a good leader too is like knowing,
really trust. There were really smart people around us. Myself and Kenny and Steve and everybody really had to step up and everything like that. But it was, look, you have also no choice, right? We went through the financial crisis. That was scary. That was legitimately. I don't say we didn't know if we were going to survive, but you didn't know if capitalism was going to survive, right? And so, those aren't decisions that I am qualified to make. Like, is Citibank going to be here on Monday? What do I know, right? Yeah. But those were the profound decisions
and this is all
that we were thinking about,
this
right?
This is all in the same sort of time
that was 2008. Frame. So, 2003, my uncle dies. Yep. Actually, our general counsel, Sam Kleiner, died. Little brother died. That was a bad year. Then my dad was diagnosed with cancer. He passes away in 2006. So it's just,
and then the GFC. It's just one thing.
Yeah, it was just a lot of things hitting at one time, and I don't know. My dad would say responsibility isn't given; it's taken. You just step up. What are you gonna do?
Zooming out of this for a little bit. Something that we don't talk about often, but it's something that we all in this room definitely see every day, and what a lot of young analysts and associates have to go through. What do you do for your mental resiliency? So it's one thing to be cut from a certain cloth and know where you have to take the business. Maybe you could bifurcate those things. Yep. But is there anything you do in your day-to-day to build your resiliency, or how do you know to trust yourself in certain times?
I got really into endurance sports, which is partly a tribute to, I think, the way I think, but that's like when you start doing Ironmans and extreme long-distance racing, that's almost a form of meditation, right? Like you have to go deep into your body to how it feels to have a relationship with yourself. So I think there's a sense of perseverance and you got to finish the race, right? And as I've always just sort of tenacity, grit. I don't know. I wish I knew where I could say, because it's with people, it's toughen up. And I don't mean that.
Alex is really into interpretive dancing, and I keep telling him he needs to do something a little bit more tough.
But by the way, interpretive dance is fun. Be the best at it. But I try to explain to my kids, you're gonna get knocked down. That just happens. People are jerks. You're gonna get doubted. People are gonna say things to you. I don't know. I wish there was some magic.
Yeah.
I wish there was some magic to say, how do you do it?
Sometimes it is that simple.
It's that simple.
How long have you been doing?
Just do it.
So you've done Ironmans or triathlons?
Now I'm dealing with chronic injury, so I'm not sure I suggested. But
still doing it.
No, I got really into it. I biked across America. I did
incredible.
7 marathons, 7 days, 7 continents.
Wow,
that was cool. That one I really.
So are you an ultra marathoner?
I was an ultra. I did a 50-mile. Race around Central Park.
And do you still work out every day, or
not as much? 1, chronic injuries, and 2, just travel and work. I'm so busy these days, but not as much. But people who are successful, and there's people you look at how are they so successful? Like you have to just, it's not, I try to tell people, like, I'm not trying to live a balanced life. That's actually not true. I have priorities in life. My kids are a priority. I value that is honestly the most important thing to me is being a dad.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I don't travel. That doesn't mean I'm not around, but I value that. So if I have to make choices, I do value my family, my fiance. I value work. I work a lot. I mean, I'm not pretending that you know, 6 o'clock hits and all of a sudden my BlackBerry, Jesus, my iPhone's away.
I took him back for a second with all the origin story.
I'm on it. And you get a little shit for it sometimes. But if you want to work a 9-to-5 job and go play softball, that's a really good life. Go for it. But don't expect that you're going to be, an entrepreneur or top of your field.
I don't even know if 9-to-5s exist anymore. Although you can work from home, there's flexibility.
Sixes now.
A true 9-to-5, come on.
No, it doesn't really exist. Yeah. But it's what do you want to put into it and what are your, now, I also think I don't want to sacrifice work for my children, right? That doesn't mean I've always been there because work things, but I am a present father.
Yeah, they always say on your deathbed, you never say, man, I really wish I worked more.
Right,
it's always
and I think that's true, but is it a priority or not?
There's a balance.
There's a balance, and it's not, I don't know, but grit, determination, work hard, it's not, I don't know, and why are some people wired like that? I see some of my daughter's friends. My daughter, these kids want to work hard. They really do, right? Like they're going to go on to the jobs at Goldman and Blackstone and Morgan Stanley, and they work hard, right?
Yeah. Do you think your kids will be in the business at some point?
We'll see, right? Yeah. I think they like real estate, so it's the same thing.
Well, we need a lot of real estate families whose kids don't want to be in real estate too. So
and there's something about that because family business. Look, real estate's also not what it used to be. Right? I think it's a harder business today.
That's interesting. Of
course.
Yeah, I don't think it's. I do think it's real estate. It's not what it was. I guess every generation, the 80s had it.
It's AI, everything changes. I don't know if it's just AI. It's everything. There's a financial engineering to it. There's
there is a financial engineering.
There's a lot more scrutiny. There's a difference of how people look at it. So all that makes sense.
It's not like real estate used to be a longer term investment. It used to be more about my grandfather would say real estate's a dead man's game. Right?
Well, you're also bringing this from a family perspective, which is very different than the usual person.
The private equity model just took over.
The private equity model is just this. And look, it works.
Of course.
Great. God bless them. They have more cash than you can possibly imagine.
You guys recapped with probably the gold leader.
It's great, but they're trades, right? And that's okay. There's value in that, but it is difference about what's investing for the long term. And real estate is really a long-term business. At the end of the day, it's not a fast trade. It's, as I said, my grandfather said, it's a dead man's game. It does take a long time. You don't build real estate to 20s and 30s. That's not the way real estate, you could buy distressed debt. There's some opportunities. That's situational. But building a stable asset, a multifamily asset, cash flows at a 6. Right? Grows to a 9. It's not... then it takes 10, 15, 20 years. You're getting that value uptick. Your debt, you should frankly, we don't do it enough in today's world. You should be amming your debt down, right?
Isn't that funny how that kind of got...
I wish that hadn't gone
That
away.
really is part of the financial engineering story.
100%.
Because it becomes just numbers on a spreadsheet for, I think, way too many people. I think way too many people forget what makes good real estate.
Right.
And I think if you were going to make money anywhere in New York, maybe you agree or disagree, it might just be as simple as find the right location today. Because so many people are overlooking.
100%. The old rules of real estate. Location is still true. That's 100%.
Well, let's transition that into another location. Let's talk about how you got into Las Vegas. It seems sort of random going from primarily New York, right, to Las Vegas.
We've been investing nationally for a long time. We owned the RTC. We bought hotels all over the country. We're actually, I think, the second largest buyers of hotel debt during the RTC days.
Kidding. Wow.
Yeah. So we've had properties I mean, we're sort of known for this like Midtown office. We've been invested in DC. We just opened a building in Florida. We've owned hotels in Florida.
But this is very experiential.
Yeah. How did this idea even come up?
It probably starts. It starts with when Vegas in 2005 was experiencing this boom. We were going to build multifamily out there. That led us to ultimately acquiring 80 acres, little building to 80 acres. We were partners with Stations Casino. We had this grand plan. I joke around. The only thing we built was the Kool-Aid factory, and 08 hits. But we end up with this 80 acres of land. And what do you do with it? And had a bunch of ideas, but ultimately, it wants to be a mixed-use master plan with a focus on entertainment. I mean, it's in Las Vegas. It's literally 5 minutes from the wind.
If you're managing debt in commercial real estate, it's worth checking out Lev. Lev's the AI platform for commercial real estate. Lev gives you one place to find lenders, launch deals, and keep track of responses without jumping between emails, spreadsheets, and CRMs. You can see everything that's happening with a deal across your team, all in one dashboard. Get the benefits of AI automation without the headache of building agents yourself. It's fast to set up and easy to use, and it's effective. Lev users are launching over $3 billion in deals every month, and they are loving the results. Visit lev.com to try it out.
And when you say wants to be, that's your vision
like
of it. That's what
the other
fits.
answer is it could have been industrial warehouse. Okay. Well, that's $12 a square foot, right? This stuff is $65 a square
but that's
foot.
still a big jump, right? So you went from multi to 80 acres to what are we actually going to do with these 80 acres?
What can we do here? And where's their market opportunity? And there was a market opportunity to create an experiential entertainment campus. And it was just that.
Did something cross your mind about, maybe will we be competing against the big casinos who are incorporating more experiences into their own hotels?
Yes and no, in the sense of we didn't try to build what they could build. We built what they couldn't build. And so I actually remember saying to an executive, I can't compete with you. You're a casino. You're going to do a Cirque show. You're going to have, a Milos. You're going to have choose your poison, right? But I'm also building a world you can't compete with, right? Like I am giving a Universal an opportunity to build a 100,000 square foot warehouse that actually looks like the gates of hell have opened up. Meow Wolf really is building a psychedelic art exhibit around a grocery store.
Right.
It's in context with us, right? Like, so that doesn't really work on a casino floor. So we're not trying to be the Strip. We're trying to be what the Strip can't be.
Because you have more space and more optionality.
More space, optionality.
I think one of the biggest difference in their experience has been the Sphere.
The Sphere is amazing.
The last few years. It's totally nuts. But it's a theater, right?
Yeah. Like fundamentally.
It's a theater.
It's a cool theater, but
So Area 15 comes into your view. How does that...
my view, that's not different than we started with 1345. What did we do at 1345? We curated an experience.
1345 is one of the office buildings.
It's an office building. Real estate isn't just about rent streams. Real estate is about brand and identity. What's its emotional connection? Who are you serving? I mean, 1345, we're serving a corporate customer. We didn't just say we're building amenities. We actually were very thoughtful about amenities. We hired David Rockwell. We really go through how the space lays out. You've been in there. That makes a difference. What's the experience? How do you redo the lobby? That's no different than Area 15. All we're building is emotionally connected real estate. And it's experience design, in my opinion.
Tell us how that works just operationally. I'm just curious. So Area 15 is a group of different buildings.
It's co-tenancy.
It's co-tenancy.
We built a neighborhood or a mall. Okay. I mean, it's founded on real estate principles of, look, Gucci by itself doesn't work. Gucci's never by themselves. So they're always next to Dolce & Gabbana, and they're next to Yves Saint Laurent. They're next to, right? Like,
so these operators are your tenants.
Yeah, and we own some of the stuff. The difference there is we are an operating business and a landlord. Okay. That is one of the differences. But
Meow Wolf, for example, you're not operating.
No, that's a tenant. They pay us rent. Universal is a tenant. They pay us rent. We've done things now like add ticketing on top of it. So we do all the ticket bundling. We provide operational services for our tenant. We run the event and entertainment side of the business.
Is there anything similar to that elsewhere in the country where you have a landowner who's kind of an operator.
If you look at things like South Street Seaport, if you look at Icon Park, if you look at Cordish, they've built things like those live experiences.
But they have tenants who are operating.
They have tenants who are operating, and they operate some of the stuff themselves. So it's this hybrid retail entertainment platform.
The hybrid aspect of it, to me, is just got to be very interesting.
That's the unique
dynamics between it.
But we're not the only one who's ever done it.
Right.
So it's this category of hybrid retail entertainment.
So tell everybody what sort of experiences someone could expect if they go to Area 15.
So if you go to the campus, we have John Wick there. So we built the Vegas Continental. You can go through a 12,000 square foot kind of escape room experience. We have Universal Horror Unleashed. It's a permanent haunted house around their iconic IP. So Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Exorcist. Meow Wolf, which is Omega Mart, which is this 50,000 square foot art exhibit
Didn't you go to one?
Yeah, so Meow Wolf to me is one of the coolest things. We grew up going to Santa Fe.
Oh, okay.
Where the original Meow Wolf is.
So that's the House of Eternal Return.
So to me, like, that was always so much fun going to, and no one knew what Meow Wolf was. Right. And then they started expanding a bit.
We were their second location.
That's what I was going to ask. How did that conversation come into?
So when you're starting a real estate, I mean, again, Area 15 is grounded in real estate. We're going to build a 200,000 square foot box. What do you need to build a 200,000 square foot box? An anchor tenant. So looking around, what would be the right type of anchor tenant for where you're focusing on experiences? What do you consume at Area 15? Memories, experiences, group dynamic, group happiness. Meow Wolf is perfect for that. So they wanted to expand. They recognized we were building something that was.
So they approached you guys.
Yeah, we approached them.
Okay. I mean, it's a perfect
match.
Partnership.
And we look. They took a chance on us, and we took a chance on them. But we ended up building a 200,000 square foot box with retail, event space, and attractions.
So for those that don't know, Meow Wolf it's not a cat museum.
No,
some people may get confused.
They are.
Why did you wear the cat ears when you?
I don't know. I didn't know beforehand.
That's what people think. Meow Wolf
do they? I don't think they do.
No, they started as an art collective.
Yep.
In Santa Fe, and ultimately they had this idea that they could create a company, and it was really I describe them as this art universe that they build these incredible art exhibitions or exhibits, and they're around a theme. In this case, the House of Eternal Return is around a house in Menlo Park.
Yeah. And that's the one that's in Santa Fe.
Right. And then you go into it, but everything's explorable. So you can open the refrigerator, you walk through and you're in a world.
Yeah, you're exploring this house and you open a fridge and that takes you to a different world. You walk
through.
through.
So it's all about altering this sort of, entering like the multiverse, so to speak.
It's very trippy.
Very trippy. But it's also, behind that very trippy is hundreds of artists that build these experiences. That's why I say it's an art universe.
They're so creative. It's very
so creative. And so in Las Vegas, they built a Mega Mart. It looks like a grocery store, but if you actually see it, it's got like it's psychedelic stuff. Like I think they have like nut-free nuts. It's all salt. I mean, something so whatever. But it's all done by artists. And then you open the freezer and you walk through and you come to this. Alex Jones did some work in there. I mean, they've got world-class artists. You pay a ticket and you walk through it. So it's an exhibition.
And there's a lot of sort of metaphors, if you will, and takes on society.
Don't give it away. Let people go and
fun.
See it.
Okay, we have axe throwing. We have a barcade. Yeah. We throw a ton of events. So we've done we do 140 corporate events a year. So we had Activision just rented out the whole place, and they did a whole product launch there. We have Amazon, you name it. We've had corporate tenants. We have music. We have had Avenged Sevenfold do a concert there. Wow. Closey, right?
Back when Jack used to put mascara on and cry and sing their music.
We just opened up an underground nightclub. I mean, so like the whole point is we have Museum of Ice Cream really coming to the campus.
I feel like to your point, you saw that your grandfather's words, the way you said it. You played the long game. I feel like I remember when.
And it is a long game, right? Because what we learned is scale matters too. Because by the way, there's a reason malls are big.
Right.
Co-tenancy works, right? So food, beverage, experiences, art, attractions. It's an urban theme park, a modern kind of urban mall theme park.
I feel like I remember when you announced that you were going to open this. How long has it been now?
We've opened 5 years ago.
5 years, yeah.
2020.
Yeah, I remember reading some article where you were talking about this, and it's cool to see where it is now. I mean, it's...
Well, we have another, so we've built 30 of the 80 acres, so we have another 50 acres to develop. And what's interesting is, so what goes in a diversified modern entertainment district? Right?
I don't think you need another dispensary, by the way.
No,
just throwing that out there.
Not a dispensary, but things
How about a proper racetrack so they can stop going
there
up
you
the
go.
strip?
Oh, I know that.
That's
F1
a great
is
idea.
an interesting thing. It's good for a lot of people in the city, and it's bad for a lot of people.
It's a real pain.
The strip is just
good.
tight. It's like you're effectively walking up two sidewalks to watch a race.
Ultimately, I think it's good. But for us, thinking about sports is a big focus of ours. So like we have 50 acres. We can do everything from, you could do an NBA arena, you can we're looking at second and third tier sports, which is really interesting. Things like
Lacrosse Megadome.
Or things like Quidditch, right?
Quidditch? Is that a real thing?
Don't act like you don't know.
No. I need to. How does that work?
If you look at there's so much fandom today around these second and third tier sports, right? Slap League, really popular.
Yes.
As an example.
I don't know what this
I think
is.
that's the stupidest thing on earth.
It may be.
But it's a big thing. You're not wrong.
What is that? They literally just
slap fight.
each other.
Dana White started the secondary
That's what
series
you
where
do.
two
You
guys
just
stand on
stand there and
stage
you have
and
to
smack
take
each
it.
other.
Yeah. But
come on.
There's that. There's women's 3-on-3 basketball. There's beach volleyball. There's things like combat basketball.
I'll pass on all of these, but
there are so many.
I know there's
things that drive fandom.
Yeah, maybe the arena is for ESPN 8, the Ocho.
But that's exactly right.
If you do an arena sponsored by the Ocho, I will fly to Vegas 10 times a year just to see that.
So you got one.
I know.
You will have an actual devotee if you do a ESPN Ocho dedicated arena.
I have a strategy called Misfit Sports, so it's very much Ocho.
I love it.
But that's exactly right. But what else can go on the campus, right? You can start looking around. There are things like, indoor karting, possible water park. I mean, there are other things that are complementary to an entertainment district.
That's really cool.
Right? So we have multifamily we're going to build. And again, we're building an urban district that people can walk.
And the multifamily will be next to all
these
experiences.
And you'll design it so it's not sitting in the middle of it, but you design. But the point is we have 80 acres of a entertainment mixed-use campus.
So there's something happening across the country right now
next to the strip
that I'm sure you've noticed, Winston. And that is you're seeing what I would call micro Disney worlds pop up across the country. We have Peppa the Pig Park in Dallas.
Yep.
Really?
I'll take you next time.
Yeah. My son goes to SMU, so I know that.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. And things like that are popping up. I don't know if that bodes well for the Disney Worlds of the world. What do you think?
I mean, look, it's kind of like a casino's popping up all over the country, and Vegas is still the most popular. You're not displacing Disney. I mean, it's Disney. You're not displacing Universal. The scale of them is off the charts. But I do think that there's an opportunity for, these micro experiences because there's tourism that comes into that market. There's clearly local population that wants some entertainment. Going to Disney is expensive, right? But are you going to stop going to Disney because you can go to Peppa Pig? I don't think so.
Well, what you're doing seems smart because it certainly is an attraction that
we're an open world.
Yeah,
we think I was always motivated we're an open world entertainment thing, so we're not one IP.
Right.
Those are closed worlds. So for us, the fact that we do have Universal next to, Lionsgate next to me.
Something for everybody.
Right. Like we're trying to create an open world entertainment system, and what else can fit in there? And that's the whole point.
Winston, I wanted to ask you this. You guys do this, and you do this specifically under a fund structure. Or explain the Lionheart dynamic in this.
How you
Lionheart was they wanted to do John Wick. We are actually in this case partners in that experience, and so that was just them coming to us, and we ultimately, so to speak, signed a lease. It's not a fund.
But is the rest capitalized with any external equity?
Okay. No, right now it's us.
And just Fisher.
Yeah, and our next step will be to raise money because as we start to build out things like sports and hotel and everything like that, we've now proven out that we have 30 acres.
For John Wick, you're doing all the tenant improvements and you're building it all out yourself, and and the IP they get a piece of
I mean, each deal is a little bit different.
I'm just curious, like, how does that creatively, how does that kind of work?
Lionsgate, it's their IP, just to be very, we do not have a piece of that.
Yes.
I'd love to have a piece of John Wick, right? We partnered to build the John Wick experience in there, and it's operated and run, and so that specifically, and that's an interesting thing because we see an opportunity to expand that because we have this incredible experience. It is crushing it. People love the John Wick experience. That could be in London. That could be we've also incubated the idea on our campus, and now there's opportunities for it to go other places. Universal is a pure lease. They
got it.
Came to us and that's just a lease. Museum of Ice Cream is just a pure lease, right?
So so you just brought up another point that I wanted to ask you about going elsewhere.
Yeah.
This is definitely a concept for markets similar to Vegas. You seem not as excited?
No,
okay.
It's funny. We had bought some land in Orlando and then we sold it because one of the things I'd say I appreciate more than ever is scale matters, right? Like we're not a tenant. Area 15 is an entertainment platform. It leases space. It does ticketing. It curates the events and programming we do because that's relevancy. Scale really matters. And so 200,000 square feet isn't enough, right? So in Vegas now we'll be 600,000 square feet and growing. We have another 50 acres to grow. I don't really need to be anyplace else because what we call Area 15 is a world, right? So as you keep building out the campus, could we go other places? Yes. Would it work in Orlando? Yes. Nashville? Yes.
Texas, yeah.
Texas, but scale matters, right? Like we're not looking to be in Area 15 that's part of someplace else.
Co-tenancy is exactly what you were talking about.
Co-tenancy and to program it correctly, because it is a brand, requires a certain level of scale. You know, so we've looked international. We actually did a pop-up in Saudi Arabia. That was pretty cool. So that was kind of an interesting test to see that
how was that?
Did very well. I mean, it was great. People loved it. It's it's not a Vegas. Area 15 is a creative company that can translate, like we've looked at some other experiences. It doesn't mean we'll replicate Vegas. It just means that you're part of the Area 15 entertainment ecosystem.
Tell us,
how would you curate something else but make it part of it?
Right now,
it's just a brand.
Winston, there's a lot in the news right now going on about Six Flags.
Yeah.
Not doing too hot. Tickets are down and so forth. How has growth been at Area 15 since you opened?
So you had the post-COVID, the world was on fire. I mean, the experience economy, everybody came out of COVID and they were just spending. And I think that was unsustainable.
Hyperdrive.
Yeah, it was hyperdrive. Then you got a pullback from where that's at. Vegas has had some challenges recently. Now, I'm very bullish on Vegas. Our traffic is up. Partly it's up because we have new things and we're growing. But, it's you do have to be constantly thinking about what's next. I mean, that's part of it. I'm not an expert on what's going on with Six Flags. It's what's next there. They have to build massive things, and I don't know. I mean, I'm not an expert.
No, that's okay.
With Six Flags,
to be honest, there has been a pullback with some of these theme parks lately. So I'm curious if there's been an impact with you guys or not.
We have seen it, right? As I said, we saw it 24. For a year from 24 to 25, I'd say we saw a real pullback. In the last 3-4 months, while Vegas is quote unquote having trouble, we keep going up.
Interesting.
Because we're opening new stuff, our programming,
your attractions, they're attracting
and our events. The consumer is stressed today. It is, you have the Magnificent Seven, the stock market's it's really an AI, and I am not a stock market expert, but it is an AI run. That is not a consumer run. I do have concerns. I mean, I think that Canadians are not traveling here. I mean, that's just math. They're just not coming. Inflation and costs are high, right? Like they're not going down. And contrary to, I was hoping that there would be more moderation. In fact, it's going the other direction. Deli meats are up if you pay attention. Like it's not that healthy out there. It's not horrible either, but you got to pay attention to that stuff. So perception of value, delivering a good product, and that's true, I think, anywhere, right? Like, look, we have 3 residential buildings. The house brand, I'm really into brands. deliver a good product, right? Deliver something that the residents, deliver something that a guest, your office tenants, like everybody has to believe when they're paying for something, they're getting value for it. And I don't think that, I know people are like, it's different. I don't see it as being different. We have customers, we have tenants, we have partners.
And maybe at AREA15, since you do have so many different experiences, there is a value proposition.
There's a value proposition. That's why we ticket bundle. That's why we put everything together. It's why we have a Halloween party coming up, Conoween. It's, DJ. We'll end up probably 2,500 to 3,000 people will be at the party. It's great. And then we'll have an after hours party. But we also have Nevada Day, which will be great for kids to come trick or treat. So
it's funny when you have such a long-term vision for what this is, and you have so much acreage and the ability to take whichever way, you could do almost anything and everything. You could have, a convention center. You could have a nightclub. You could have,
Well, if money was no object, we would probably have a 500 to 1,000 rooms hotel, water park. I think the sports arena would crush it. There is some other activations that would do really well, and then they all play. Again, complementary, not competitive.
The news is important. But if you're a busy real estate professional like me, you don't have time to skim through dozens of dry and ad-filled media outlets each day. That's why I read the CRE Daily. It's a free email newsletter that cuts through the clutter and delivers concise, witty commentary on the latest trends and transactions in commercial real estate. If you're a commercial real estate professional, you owe it to yourself to try it out and stay on top of what's happening in the industry. It's only 5 minutes a day. Visit credaily.com to sign up for free. Becomes the city within the city.
Right. We're starting to see it, but the goal is that AREA15 also becomes its own micro destination, right? So why do you come to Vegas?
That's what it sounds like,
right.
Of course.
At 200,000 square feet, you're going to AREA15. At 600,000 square feet, you're starting to be able to make a few days of it, right? The bigger you get, the bigger your center of gravity is, right? That's what I mean by scale.
And then it would seem like the next iteration be a hotel.
Hotel would, other than how expensive it is, a hotel would be. There's a real need for non-gaming hotels in Vegas, and you always have to be careful with that. But where we're located, it would do really well because we're connected to the Strip, we're connected to the convention center, and we have a lot of entertainment. You're not an island by yourself, but people do come to Vegas and they don't want to. Not a lot, but there is a segment that doesn't want to stay in a casino, right? So for us, I actually think we could support probably 2,000 rooms.
Might capture the whole Salt Lake City market.
California families, we crush the family market, right? There are people who, for us, our nightlife, we just opened at sort of this underground nightclub experience. We're going at, I call it underground affluence, right? There is a bunch of people, they go to Burning Man. They're a house of yes. They're the city of gods, right? There are a lot of people who, and I love Marquee and Tao and Omnia. Those are awesome.
What's your favorite club?
I don't actually go to that many clubs, interestingly enough. But
if you did, what do you think your favorite club would be?
Oh God, I haven't actually I don't go to a lot of clubs in Vegas. I live like a local.
I'm putting you on the spot. I don't expect you.
I think Omnia might be Zooks. They're all great clubs, right? But now my favorite club is Odyssey Noir that we opened because it is actually this underground experience, and it's it doesn't exist in Vegas. We're not trying to compete with that. We're trying to compete with this place that is completely, creative. It's, we're one of the parties. I can't wait to throw an Eyes Wide Shut party there and everything. It's that kind. Yeah. Well,
so you guys have very creative people.
Very creative people. But it also works for birthday parties. It also works for weddings. We're not trying to be Omnia. That's amazing. But we know our lane. And our lane is spectacle, wonder, curating for the families during the day and pushing it at night for the other people. Costume parties, people can show up City of Gods, which just took place at Industry City. 8,200 people, 2 nights in a row. That's not a mainstream club, crushing it, right? So people are dressed up in costume. You got Mayan Warrior there.
Very cool.
All this stuff. So I spend as much time on this side of my life as I do on the real estate side, right? So
it's very cool. You get to play in different worlds, and it sounds very interesting. Very interesting. And we know where we're taking Alex for his next birthday party.
Yeah. I'm really into creativity, and I think that is the secret sauce. And I think most people, I see it in even office. There's some great designs, but like, don't be scared to be different.
Yep.
Everybody, like, I sometimes even see it in our team. They're like, this is what everybody else is doing. I'm like, I don't want to know what everybody else is doing. Like, I don't want to follow the leader.
You definitely didn't. I mean, this project was...
this is different.
Was incredible.
But I really do, I will say, like, 1345, I really think our design there and what we did with ease is really beautiful. Like, it is. We keep getting... The feedback we get is we have some of the best amenity space. We weren't trying to be everybody else. We weren't trying to do the bare minimum. We were trying to do what would be great for the building. Mm-hmm. And that's really important. Our house, we built the House 39. Rockwell, our attention to detail and amenities in that space and then programming is off the charts. Same thing with the Station House in DC. We get high rents because of that, right? It's not lip service that we have this stuff. I see so many people that say, check the box, we have it. I throw people out of my office if you say, check the box to me. That's lazy.
Yeah.
Checking the box is lazy. I want something unique, great, and emotionally connected that actually resonates with whoever our target market is. What's the difference between AREA15, house brand, and an office building? I have to build something that resonates with who we're servicing.
Checking the box is so true. Apartment buildings, it's like we have a mail room.
Right.
Cool. Isn't that like
here's our gym? But you didn't celebrate the gym. You put it it's down a hallway. You got to walk in. You got a door. There's no. How does it like what we just built in Wynn House down in Wynwood? It's really beautiful space. And there are other great developments. By the way, there's great buildings down there. But I know we walked around like we celebrate the amenity space.
Dog
like
park. It's just like one little depressing strip that smells like.
It's all about doing things with purpose. Yeah. All right, so I'm selfish, so I want to bring it back to New York for one last commentary.
Yes.
Because your family's rooted here, a lot of your career is rooted here, you're rooted here.
This is our home.
What do you see going on in New York? I think a lot of the fabric of not just real estate, but society is changing here. What are you optimistic about? Not so optimistic
I'm very
about?
bullish on New York.
Yeah.
I mean, it is an extremely resilient city, and it is a place that young people want to come. It's diversified. You have an amazing culture here. You've got, you've got Broadway, you've got off-Broadway, you've got nightclubs, you've got underground clubs, comedy clubs. The food scene in New York is, I think it's the best in the world.
Sure,
I really do.
Totally.
It is. Few other cities that are competitive. New York, like the high-end Korean in New York, best I've ever had. Right? You have some of the greatest restaurants, Atomix, etc. Industry is here. Right? Like JP Morgan is expanding, right? You've got the tech companies. Could New York fail? Of course it could. But like, it's hard to replicate this. It's hard to replicate this concentration of talent that exists here and this concentration of culture. And it's, how dynamic it is. So I'm really bullish. Now, can crime tick up? Of course. You got to be very careful. We saw what happened when crime started to tick up after COVID. There was a backlash. Look, kudos to Hochul and Adams. They really did flood the subways. They paid attention to that stuff. I hope the next mayor does too, because hard to knock New York off its perch, but you can.
Yeah.
But I'm bullish on New York compared to most cities, because honestly, I know everybody's like, Miami's going to be the Wall Street of the South. No, it's not. It's just not. Like, they don't have the concentration of talent there. It's not going to replicate. Did some hedge fund people move down there? Sure. But it's not New York, right? And I love Miami. Nothing against it. It has its own, it's like us trying to be, we're not the gateway to Latin America.
Right.
That's Miami, right? It's a great, but New York City there's insane demand for Class A space. I'm really happy to see buildings that are transitioning from commercial to residential. That's taking supply out of the market. There is a housing crisis here. It needs to be addressed. I actually think it doesn't get a lot of play, but like what Mandami has talked about of 0 through 5 childcare, if New York would solve that, it would be a game changer for this city, right? The greatest tax on the middle and working class is childcare. It's horrible. I don't know how you solve it, but he's not wrong. that actually would make New York an extremely competitive place to live, and it would bolster the economy because you would have more people working and lifetime earnings would go up and it would keep people here, young families. There's an economic rationale to what he's talking about. Disagree with a lot of also because I'm not sure how all this happens, but meaning there are these things that
in theory
there's ripple effects. Yeah, there's ripple effects.
I don't agree with free buses
for it,
as an
but
example,
sure.
right? I just don't agree with that. So, but we need to get the housing crisis under control. It is outlandishly expensive, right? And it's outlandishly expensive to build. There's a reason we have a housing crisis. Not developers' fault.
But
right?
overall,
Developers will build.
It's great to hear that you're so bullish on the city still, nonetheless.
I mean, look at it, right? I mean, people are back to work. I'm in a finance really was one of the leaders in saying everybody has to be back 5 days a week, right? And the truth is, it's better. It's really hard. I mean, we always choose your name, water cooler creativity, the meeting after the meeting, whatever you have to be together.
Yeah.
You just, it doesn't work being on Zoom, right? And it's good. I mean, we all use it, but it's not the same.
Well, we're happy that you could come in. Unfortunately, we're kind of running up on time. Okay. We could talk to you for hours.
Super interesting. I think next time we need to do this from Area 15.
We have a podcast studio.
Done.
Perfect.
So let's do it.
Let's do this at Area 15.
Let's do it.
I want the follow-up of this episode.
That's amazing.
I love it.
Thanks for coming on.
Guys, thanks you so much. Really appreciate it.
Great to meet you.